steal my name, young man.
Uh, I come first, not you.
So could you please read your persuasive paragraph for the class?
Okay, so he does nothing, guys. You know the easiest way to get fit? Well, it just needs your patience and doesn't take any time much every day. It is playing sports. Well, playing sport is very easy to do and keep track of. You only need to exercise 10 to 20 minutes every day. It can be at any time you want, but not after you eat. It helps you sleep easier. It helps you improve your health. You will sleep easier because you burn more calories by exercising, and by the end of the day, you have no energy left, so you will fall asleep immediately. You'll be healthier because when you burn calories while playing sports, your blood will circulate evenly around your body. Your muscles have to work, so it will decrease the chance of yourself having any basic illness, making you healthy. And those are benefits of playing sport. You should have a healthier body after that. So why don't you try it? Well, playing sports help you sleep easier by burning calorie. You stay healthier by doing the work for your body. And you see, playing sport have many benefits and it may help you doing everything with a positive and energy to start the day.
Well done, Michael. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I noticed a lot of your positive language in there. Like, why don't you try it? You're inviting the person listening, inviting the person listening to what you're saying. What am I trying to say? You're inviting people to participate. You're making it seem exciting. So very well done. The only thing that I would say to improve that would be when you were listing some of the benefits, like it burns more calories, it gets your blood flowing. I would just cite a source for that information. But other than that, that was terrific. Well done. Well done.
Yes.
And Mina has put her hand up. So I'll ask Mina to go next.
Okay, so this is my paragraph. Sports is what is sports? First, sports is a great way to keep fit. It helps you stay strong and avoid diseases. In my opinion, everyone has their favorite sports. I also have one is badminton. Well, to begin, it all started when I was like 3. When I was really little, my dad always like made the opportunity opportunity for me to play badminton because we have like a really big garden and my dad always buys rackets, badminton nets and things. And also there is a very near badminton stadium near my house too. Well, I was become really natural to it, and it's eventually become my favorite sports. I fell in love with it when I hit a hit a shuttlecock with my racket for the first time. When you try it, you have the feeling when you try to hit it, the feeling that you are really proud of yourself and you really enjoy that the feeling, the lights, everything. And the next thing that I really like about badminton is actually increase your age. Well, there's a sign there scientists have proved that when you play badminton, you actually live 2 years longer than others. And the third reason is well, it's make a kind of thing called endorphins. It's make you happy. It sounds weird, but but that's why I felt really strange whenever I played badminton. I felt really happy. And the next thing is you will become like more flexible when you play badminton, both mentally and physically, because you not just predict where will the shuttlecock go and where will it land for you to hit with a racket, and things that make you both really flexible in life too, not just in that sport. Well, badminton is a very good sport. Well, if you want to try a sport that can fit you, I think badminton is the best because it is for all ages and it's very simple to learn. Yeah.
Very good. So I liked your invitation at the end. You said you should come on and try it if you want to come and try it. I liked in the beginning when you gave us your personal experience, when you told us that it was your favorite sport because you got to play it with your dad when you were younger. That was really nice. But I would say the same thing to you as I said to Michael. When you provide evidence, like you mentioned about it can make you feel better, it can increase your lifespan. You just want to cite where you got that information from. But other than that, that was terrific, Mina. Well done. Do we have one more person that would like to present their homework? I see Rabbit sitting there with a violin, so I'm going to invite Rabbit to present.
Well, I think the violin is kind of like my hobby. My parents bought me this one, which was kind of old. It's a hand and it's a kind of like a hand me down, but it's a fine, kind of a small. See, and you can see that my arms are a little too curved, like curved. So this is not the perfect fit. It's small, but I can still use it. Well, playing the violin can be hard at times, but really it's quite satisfying and fulfilling when you make effort for it and do it. It's something that makes us release the dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone, because of the nicotine receptors, which is like the reward system, part of the reward system. It triggers dopamine release. And well, it is kind of a therapeutic. My violin teacher once said that if you have a light headache, then a few bits of or hours of a violin just makes it improve. So in short, this is a great way to battle things like depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems, and in general, make you feel healthier mentally. And well, it is something important that helps you become physically healthy. And that is how we feel great. That's how we can feel better. And well, this kind of triggers a feedback, a good loop that leads you becoming healthier. So you should really try it.
Well done, Rabbit. So I have 2 positive things to say about your presentation, and then I have one thing to perhaps fix for next time. So first of all, I heard that you said that your violin teacher told you some of the information. So that was very good that you quoted your violin teacher when you were talking. That was very good. One thing that I would work on, perhaps leave out for next time, is that you mentioned a few negative things. So like you said, the violin was a bit small, the violin was a hand-me-down. I personally don't know anything about violins, so all I see is a beautiful shiny instrument, and a big smile on your face when you talk about it. So I would avoid saying anything slightly negative in a persuasive argument, because you only want to mention the good things. And the last thing that I want to say is that, again, I saw the big smile on your face and I saw the enthusiasm that you were speaking with. I can tell that violin is something that is very important to you and you're very excited about it. So well done, Rabbit. That was fantastic. Okay. So thank you to Michael, Mina, and Rabbit. That was some fantastic persuasive speaking. Now I'm going to send you guys a link in the chat box. And I want everybody to click on this link. Whoop. I think I just sent it to Michael. And it doesn't look like a link. Okay, let me try this again. There we go, take 2. So I want everybody to click on this link, please. It's going to take you to a Padlet page that I've created for tonight. And that Padlet page has a link to a piece of persuasive writing on the topic of growing your own garden. So I want everybody to go to this website and click on the link, please. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen for you. So the link that I sent you in the chat should bring up a page that looks like this. And then I want you to click on the picture of the boy in the garden. And that should take you to a web page that looks like this. All right, I'll give everybody a minute to get to the article on making growing your own garden. And yes, so we'll do this activity first, and then once we've finished this activity, we can all introduce ourselves as well. So what I want everybody to do is read this piece of persuasive writing, read this article. It's not very long. So I just want everybody to read this, and then we are going to go back to the Padlet page. And when we go back to the Padlet page, I want everybody to add a comment and list any of the persuasive techniques that we discussed last week. I just want you to leave a comment on that little post about any persuasive comments you notice. And I'll set a time limit for 15 minutes. And in 15 minutes time, I'd like everybody to have the article read and have a comment posted. So 15 minutes starting now, go. So we have a couple of minutes. We have a couple of minutes left to finish reading and type your comments. I've read some of the comments that you've already put, and they are fantastic. And we'll go through those in a few minutes. So I'll talk to you guys shortly. Okay, well done, everybody. So I'll share my screen now and we'll go through some of the comments together. And then I'll show you a few persuasive techniques that I noticed that I don't think anybody else did. So I'll refresh my... So our first comment, listing the benefits, very good. Encourages the readers by strong words for action, very good. Listing the positive side of the argument and respective persuasion, very good. His favorite saying, yes, a personal quote. Encourage readers by strong words for action. Rhetorical question on starting with seeds or seedlings, very good. He invited us to read at the start, very good. Interesting information and real facts. All source of situation we might get while doing it and how to solve it. Good. So there was a lot of problem solving in the article. It's interesting and useful. It explains why it's important to plant a tree. Things you can benefit for a fight with zombies in case it happens. I love your kids' imagination, guys. That's fantastic. It inspired you in a simple and fun way. You think gardening is hard, but the way he talks make it easy to understand. Good. Very detailed and interesting. Looks like it's even persuaded somebody to turn it into a new hobby. Well done. Very fun, very interesting, simplicity, details, easy to understand. He is good at attracting readers on providing various reasons about growing a garden. Good. Good evidence and explanation. Very interesting to read. Encourage readers by strong words for action. Real facts. explains why it's important of planting a seed, tells people how to grow their own garden in an easy, understandable way. Attractive paragraph includes big parts of reasons and tips for readers, persuading us to grow gardens as it feeds somebody, makes us feel rewarded while watching its growth. Besides listing the benefits, writer tells all the steps and preparation to prove growing a garden is easy. He also uses highlight in important words. Good. Someone said, yo, what's up, homie? That is very interesting to know about gardening. It's interesting. I like when he says to be a good human. Guys, these are some fantastic points you've all pointed out. Now, let me show you, whoop, I just refreshed that, a few points that I noticed. Just got to find them again. Now, the first one that I noticed was alliteration. And alliteration is when you use similar sounding letters to start words that are close together. And one I noticed was, where is it here? Fruits. I don't know why I can't draw on the screen here. Fruits or flowers. So you guys are just going to have to imagine that I squiggled it. Fruits or flowers. And that, when you read the sentence, if you don't like vegetables, you can grow fruits or flowers. That alliteration is there. The next one I noticed was repetition. So the next paragraph down, you can grow a garden to feed yourself, your family, your neighbors, and people struggling with food insecurity. So that repetition there, using the word your, followed by yourself, family, and neighbors, that is a persuasive technique because it stands out when you read it, and it's going to make you remember that bit. So it's talking about the people that you can help. And other than that, I think you guys mentioned everything else. So that was absolutely fantastic. Well done. And I just want to thank everybody that took the time to introduce themselves in the other chat box. That was very friendly of you. So now that we have done that article, we're going to get started, and we're going to build a persuasive letter this evening. So that is our task for tonight. We're actually going to write a persuasive letter. So to give everybody their topic, the topic for your letter, I'm going to type it in the chat box as well. It is. So we're going to get this, letter done tonight, Michael. So convince your school to organize a field trip to an educational destination. So that can include, that can be, for example, a museum, whether it be an art museum or a science museum, just somewhere that the school your class can go and you can learn while you're out in the real world. So that is the topic of your letter that we're going to type tonight. So our first part of the process is we want to organize our ideas and create outlines. So when we are doing any form of writing, but particularly persuasive writing, I just got a message, someone asked, can we go to the beach and eat cake? No, we cannot. That is not educational. You can do that on the weekend. So the importance of organizing ideas in persuasive writing. So, no, not the forest either. So when we want to write a piece of persuasive writing, it's important for us to write all of our ideas down on a piece of paper. And the reason that's important is because our brains are actually designed to have ideas. They're not really designed to remember things. That's why, getting so many questions in the chat box, it's distracting me, but I'll carry on. So our brains are designed to create ideas, not to remember them. That's why it takes us so much study and so much practice to remember things we have learned, but we can get some great ideas. Some neuroscientist that I saw on YouTube said that. So the first thing we need to do now that we've got our topic is to write down our ideas and create an outline of the letter that we want to write. So I'm going to write this up on the whiteboard here. So step 1. I don't know why my whiteboard's deciding to not work. Okay, I'm just going to put it in the chat box instead. So step 1, organize our ideas and create an outline. So when we organize our ideas, we just want to write any ideas that we have about the topic on a sheet of paper.
Share your whiteboard again.
I'm going to try one more time to share my whiteboard, guys. Let's see if I can get this to work. Ah, there we go. Perfect. So, like I said before, the reason that this is so important to write it down is because our brain is fantastic at coming up with these ideas. But if you come up with 5 or 6 ideas about what you want to put in this piece of writing, I guarantee by the time you think of the last one, you'll have forgotten the first couple. So if you write it down on paper as you think about it, you will be able to look at that piece of paper and remember all of your ideas because they'll be in front of you. Now, Not quite analyzing. Okay, now the second step to doing this, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do it shortly. The second step to doing this is to, where is it here? Create your outline. And creating your outline is where you take those ideas that you've written down on the piece of paper and you bring some order to them. So, right, make sense of the ideas you wrote. So our brain is just going to like fire off all these different ideas. And once we've written them down, we create our outline by figuring out what is the best and smartest order that I could put these ideas in to make my letter the most effective it can be. So we want to try and find an order to these ideas that is going to make sense to the person who reads the ideas, essentially. So you have your topic, guys, and you have my instructions messily written. You have my instructions messily written on. Yes, correct. All of our ideas about the topic on paper. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes from now, and I want you to get these 2 steps done. So creating our outline is essentially planning out the order that we're going to write our letter in. So I want you guys to brainstorm some ideas for convincing your school to plan a field trip to an educational destination. And an educational destination can even include somewhere like the zoo, because you go there and you learn all about the animals. So somewhere that you're going to learn something. And a brainstorm. An aquarium counts, yes, very good, because you learn all about the fishies. And a brainstorm is where you pretty much just write all the ideas down on a piece of paper, and it doesn't matter where you put them. So it doesn't matter how messy it is, as long as you can read it and you can understand everything you write down. So you've got 10 minutes to, depending on the park, but I'll leave that up to your discretion. I'll leave that up to your decision-making skills. So write all your ideas down on a piece of paper and then come up with a basic plan. The forests, actually, yes, the forests would count as an educational place, as an educational destination, because most forests you go to have rangers that offer you tours, and they'll talk to you about the history of the forest, tell you about the trees. So that counts. Okay, so if you have any questions about what I'm asking you to do now, please type them in the chat box and I'll answer them for the class. Other than that, I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm getting a lot of questions about writing an introduction and a conclusion to the letter. We do have a section on that coming up. So for now, just plan out the structure of the letter and where you want to write each of your arguments. Don't worry about any of the actual writing yet. My apologies, everybody. I did the old man thing and accidentally left the meeting when I went to close down the whiteboard. So the next thing that we need to do, now that we have organized our ideas and we've created an outline for our letter, we need to talk about using evidence to support our arguments. So hopefully most of you have come up with at least one argument that needs some statistics or some evidence to back it up. Have I been on mute this whole time? Okay, so now that we have organized our ideas and created an outline for our letter, I hope that at least one argument that you have made requires the use of evidence to back it up. So our next topic of conversation is going to be using evidence to support arguments. So the first thing that we need to discuss is, why is it so important to support our arguments with evidence? So it's important because it gives our arguments evidence, gives our arguments credibility. And credibility just means that people will believe it. So if I was just to say to you, oh, my friend Bob told me that you can fly a rocket ship into space using the petrol that you put into your cars, for example, a whole lot of you are just going to look at me like I'm absolutely crazy because I've just mentioned somebody that nobody knows, and they've made a claim that is so outrageous that it's just not believable. So when you support your arguments with evidence, they need to come from reliable sources. So sources that people know and sources that people trust. So for example, if I was talking to you about space travel, I might use some statistics from NASA's website, because everybody knows that NASA is the big space organization. Everybody knows that they have the best scientists and they're conducting the best research. So if it's space, I'm going to go to NASA. If it's statistics about education, I might go to the Government Department of Education's website to look for statistics that support my argument about education. So it's about finding those important and believable and trustworthy sources that will help us create the most convincing arguments. Now, some examples of evidence that we can use are, so types. We can use statistics if we need, like a 2 out of every 5 people believe this, or this study showed that 45% of people did this. If we need some information like that, we can check out statistics. If we need some information provided by somebody that really knows the topic well, we can look for, oh, that was messy. We can look for expert opinions. And we can also, if we need to mention something that we know has happened in real life and we need some evidence to prove that, then we can also use, say, news articles. Or real life examples. So we have all of these different types of evidence that we can use to help back our arguments up. Now, how can we find these quality sources? Now, research can be easy, it can be hard, but your best friend in research will be search engines. So websites like Google or Bing are going to be your best friend. So you can search for pretty much whatever you want on Google. So if you need statistics on a certain topic, you can just type into Google, let's say, education statistics. And then you can get a little bit more specific. So in our case, we're looking for maybe statistics on field trips. So we can say education statistics on field trips. And the more specific that you are in a Google search, the more specific your results will be. However, there's a fine balance between being just specific enough and too specific where you won't get any results. So that's important. And finally, how does incorporating evidence strengthen our persuasive writing? So that goes back to the first point that we talked about. Evidence gives our arguments credibility. It strengthens them because it's not just us saying these statistics or saying these points of view. We're providing evidence from credible sources that agree with us. So then we kind of get to use their reputation to make our arguments more believable. But of course, we have to be honest, and we can't just make statistics up. We have to be honest with where we found them and with the information that they give us. And one final point is reliable sources. So make sure when you quote a source of information, make it a source of information that the people reading your letter are going to know and believe. So our next little exercise, I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes again. And this time, any of your arguments that you've come up with that need statistics, I want you to try and find some sources of information that back up some of your arguments. So I've given you the way to do it. You can use search engines like Google or Bing, and just try typing into Google or whatever search engine you use. Just try typing into it exactly what you're looking for: statistics or expert opinions, news articles. Here we go. All right. Now it's your time to go do some searching. I'll see you guys shortly. Okay, guys, we've got a couple of minutes left. So I just realized that it is getting quite late. So I don't want to keep you guys up too late. So we might move through the next couple of stages a little bit quicker. I'll try to give you all of the time that I can. But yeah, what we might have to do is you might just have to find some time during the week to just re-watch this live stream, watch the replay, and just follow the steps and practice some of this stuff in your own time to get better at it. But I'll give you all the time tonight that I can. Okay, everybody, good job. Hopefully you've managed to do some good research. And my camera has gone sideways again. So our next section is writing persuasive introductions and conclusions. So the first thing that we want to do is discuss why it's important to grab the reader's attention and hook them in right at the beginning of our piece of writing. And the reason is that people are like goldfish. We have very, very short attention spans. So if you're not immediately grabbing your reader's attention, then they're likely to lose interest in the piece of writing. So grab them right from the beginning and you've got them for the piece of writing. Now, there are some very good strategies we can use. Obviously, by writing a letter, goldfish can remember for 2 months. Well, I heard it was 3 seconds. So there are some good techniques we can use. Now, obviously, because we're writing a letter, we obviously want to start with dear so-and-so, or to whom it may concern, or however you would start writing a letter. But after that, some good techniques that we can use. I'm going to open up my So we would start with to whom it may concern, or dear Mr. Mrs. or Miss. And then you would write their name after that. So after the introduction. So our first way to immediately grab your reader's attention is to start with an anecdote. And an anecdote is a personal story that's related to the topic. So maybe in a previous class you were in, you went on a field trip and it was just the best field trip that you'd ever been on. You learned so much. You had the best day ever. It was super exciting. Tell a story about that if you have one, and try and paint a very bright picture in your reader's head. So, for example, imagine this. You're walking through a local park, enjoying the fresh air and vibrant scenery, when suddenly you come across a group of kids playing on outdated, rusty playground equipment. It's very descriptive. So there's a lot of detail, and it paints a very So there's a lot of detail, and it paints a very clear picture in your reader's mind. Another good example is a thought-provoking question. So ask a question that grabs the curiosity, or maybe it challenges the perspective of the reader. So ask them a question that's going to make them think about a point of view they wouldn't normally think about, or grab their curiosity and make them go, oh, I want to know the answer to that. So thought-provoking question, make them think, make them curious. Another good idea is give them a start. Actually, I'll give you an example of a thought-provoking question. Have you ever wondered why our school doesn't have a dedicated space for students to explore their creativity and showcase their talents? So immediately that gets me thinking, well, what talents do these kids have that we could be, but are not allowing them to explore? Like, what opportunities are we not taking advantage of here? So that would get me thinking and want to know more. Our next idea is use a statistic. Put a line through there. Separate. So use a statistic. So if you can surprise your reader, or if you can immediately cause a big impact to make them go, whoa, I didn't know that, you grab their attention. For example, so statistic. Michael, stop analyzing my handwriting. So where was I? So a statistic can grab attention. So for example, did you know that approximately 8 million tons of plastic waste ends up in our oceans every year, endangering marine life and polluting our precious ecosystem? So just the crazy big number that we mention in that statistic is enough to kind of wake the reader up and really pay attention to what you're saying. So using a statistic like that can be a very good help. Our next one is make a bold statement. My writing's just getting messier and messier. So make a bold statement. Grab your reader's attention again. Bold hair, huh? So make a bold statement and grab your reader's attention. Of course, make sure that it's related to the topic. So an example of a bold statement, it's not necessarily on this topic, but it's a bold statement. It's time to take a stand and revolutionize the way we approach sustainable living in our community. So it's bold. It doesn't just say, come on, guys, I think it's time we maybe consider doing this. It's saying it's time. It's bold. It makes a big claim. So if you can find a statement like that to relate it to field trips, then that can be another good way to start your letter. And finally, you can start with a quotation. So you can quote somebody. So if you can begin with this one, to be honest, for our letter, I don't think will apply as much, but it's still a useful trick to have in your arsenal whenever you're doing some creative writing. So you can begin with a relevant and compelling quotation from a well-known figure or expert. So again, make sure it's relevant, it's on topic, and make sure it's compelling. So it makes the person want to listen to it or read it. It grabs their attention. So an example would be, as Mahatma Gandhi once said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service of others. So we see here that all of these openings, when it comes to persuasive writing, all of these openings have one thing in common. They are all designed to grab your attention. So my next little block, I'll give you 5 minutes for this one. Come up with an opening using one of these tips. You only need one. So you'd start your letter with "to whom it may concern," or "Dear Mr. Principal," "Dear Mrs." or "Dear Miss." And then you would use one of these tips. You've got 5: an anecdote, a thought-provoking question, a statistic, a bold statement, or a quotation. So you have 5 minutes. Come up with a good opening for me. And just to let you guys know, the next section that we will cover will be tips to write a good conclusion to the letter. So I'll see you guys in a few more minutes. Okay, so now that we have okay, so now that we have sorry, I just see Michael with a fork in his mouth. So now that we have worked on our opening, on our introduction, let's have a look, not the camera. Let's have a look at the conclusion. So I've got 5 tips to give you to write a good conclusion. So number 1 is a call to action. So a call to action is where you urge the reader to take a specific step, to ask them to do something specific. So a call to action is a request to perform a specific action. So, for example, join us in making a difference today by pledging to reduce single-use plastic in your daily life. Together, we can create a greener future for generations to come. So it's impactful. It's not just saying, I think you should do this. It's really throwing the option at you and saying, join us, make a difference, pledge to reduce, it's making you make these big promises, making you take these big steps. So again, it comes back to catching our readers' attention. So we don't just want to catch it at the beginning. We actually want to keep trying to recapture our audience. We want to keep trying to recapture our audience's attention. Number 2, you can make a powerful statement. So making a strong and impactful statement that's going to leave a lasting impression on the reader. So make an impact. And again, that comes back to our central theme for all of these techniques. It's grab your reader's attention. So for example, let us unite and be the change we wish to see in the world. Our collective actions today will shape a brighter tomorrow. So in a way, a powerful statement, excuse me, can be quite similar to a call to action. It's a big, powerful statement, again, that just grabs your reader's attention. And that seems to be our central theme for all of these techniques. Keep grabbing your reader's attention. Number 3, you can make an emotionally charged appeal. So remember last week when we spoke about using emotionally charged language? So you can appeal to your reader's emotions by trying to speak to their sense of empathy, so that they can feel how you feel, or try and speak to their shared values. Try and find something in common with your audience, with the person reading. So let me write that note down. Speak to readers' empathy or shared value. So again, if you can make your reader feel how you want them to feel, or if you can find something in common with your reader, then you're far more likely to keep their attention, because people like things that are the same. People like things that are in common with themselves. So again, that's just another way to keep your reader's attention. I'm going to keep saying that because it just keeps popping up. Next, we can use a thought-provoking reflection. So a thought-provoking reflection, it's basically you looking back on what you've spoken about, or even reflecting on the wider importance of the issue that you're talking about. And by doing that, you can make your reader really start to think. And if you make them start to think, it's going to keep their attention on what you're talking about. So make your reader think about your topic. And finally, you can inspire future vision. So you can paint a picture in your reader's head about the positive impact that your idea or your topic can achieve. So you want to make your reader think about the positive changes that agreeing to your idea can bring on. Because if you can make them think about the future and make them think that it's going to be better, then again, everybody likes to think happy thoughts. Everybody likes to be comfortable thinking about the future. So make that future look really good. Struggling for space on the board now. So yes, inspire future vision. Make the future look good. Make your reader feel good about the future. And you will, again, keep their attention. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to plan out, going to give you 5 minutes to plan out your conclusion. And of course, once you have written this conclusion, you want to finish it off with a signature like yours sincerely or best regards, followed by your name. So yeah, 5 minutes. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Thanks for reading is a good one, yes. Or thank you for taking the time to read my letter. Okay. I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for staying with me this long. You're doing fantastic, and we only have one more topic to talk about. So we have worked through writing our introduction and our conclusion. We have planned out the body of our letter, creating our arguments and working out which order to put them all in. And what else have we done? Let me find all of these topics we've covered. So yes, we've organized our ideas, created outlines. We have learned to use evidence to support our arguments. We have learned to write persuasive introductions and conclusions. And now the final topic to talk about is editing and revising. So let me bring up one more whiteboard. So the first thing that we need to talk about is what is editing and revising? So editing and revising is the process that we go through after we've written our initial letter. So that's where we go back and so editing is fixing any spelling mistakes. Sorry, I can't write and speak at the same time. So editing is fixing spelling mistakes, fixing grammar. I just spelled that wrong. M-A-R, and fixing punctuation. So fixing our spelling mistakes, fixing our grammar, making sure that we're using all of the correct cases and tenses for the words. And fixing punctuation is things like making sure we end our sentences with a full stop, making sure we use commas in the right spots, using speech marks in the right spot, and just fixing all of that. And revising is looking back over the words we have written and making sure that we are happy with those words. And if we're not, we may wish to rewrite certain passages we are not happy with. So basically, editing and revising is just going back over our letter, fixing the spelling, fixing the grammar, and fixing the punctuation, and rewriting any sentences or passages that we are not happy with until we're left with a letter that is nothing but what we are happy with. Okay. And the main purpose of editing and revising is to improve the clarity of our letter. So we want to make sure that we make our letter as easy to understand as possible. We want it to be coherent. So that means understandable. So we want it to be easy to understand, and we want it to be understandable in terms of, again, the spelling, grammar, and punctuation. And we also want to go back over our letter and make sure that we're happy with the persuasive techniques that we've used. So the revising can offer, what's the word I'm looking for? Revising can offer, I want to say bonuses, but that's wrong. Basically, revising the letter will help you refine your ideas to make them better. It'll make your argument stronger, and it will enhance the overall impact of your persuasive writing piece. So we have worked out what editing and revising is. So I will clear this drawing and we will start again. So what techniques can we use to improve the clarity and coherence of our writing? So first of all, we can read our letter out loud. So by reading our letter out loud back to ourselves, we can catch awkward phrasing. So if you're reading a sentence to yourself and based on how you've written it, you read it funny, or you read it in a way and you think, oh, that doesn't sound good, then you can use that opportunity to perhaps fix some of your punctuation or fix your grammar. And you can make your sentences sound better, because if they sound better to yourself, they're going to sound better to the person reading them. You can also use it to get rid of repetitive words or unclear sentences. Now, when I say repetitive words, unless you are using the repetition technique, like yourself, your family, your neighbors, then that's when you want to keep your repetitive words. But any other circumstance, you want to clean them up and get rid of them. And as well, you're looking for unclear sentences. So if you read a sentence to yourself and you think, oh, hang on a second, what am I trying to say there? Get rid of that sentence and have a go at rewriting it if it is necessary for that sentence to be in your letter. You want to, those of you that have done debate classes with me before, you'll know that I'm very big on logical flow and coherence between paragraphs and ideas. So what that means is that you want one paragraph to flow into the next one. You don't want them just to seem like two completely random ideas, one following the next. So let's have a look here. Logical flow. Between paragraphs. And ideas. So, like I said, we want one idea to flow easily into the next. So so when we do that, we're making sure that our reader has a nice smooth ride while he's reading our letter. So picture it like, if you structure your letter well and you have a good order for your ideas and they all work with each other, it's like driving down a nice smooth road. You don't even notice it in the car. You're just nice, comfortable ride along. But if your ideas are not in a right order that flow well from one to the next, that's kind of like driving your car down a really bumpy road with lots of potholes and you feel a boomf and a boomf. It's an uncomfortable read, basically. Just like being in a car on a bumpy road doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel nice to read a letter that's not well written. So coming up with your structure, which we did in the first step, will become a very important little tip for you all. And the way that we can create some good flow between paragraphs is using connecting phrases. So a connecting phrase is simply a sentence that connects one idea to another. So an example of a connecting sentence might be, sorry, I just trying to read a message there. So a connecting phrase might be something like, as you can see, the evidence supports this idea that I've just presented. I'm being very vague here, but the evidence supports this idea that I have just presented. And similarly, the evidence can also support the idea I'm about to present. So we see that I've tried to make a connection between what I'm currently talking about and what I'm about to talk about. There are much better examples of connecting sentences, but that's the best I can do at 2 a.m. So how can we receive feedback? So how can receiving feedback from other people help us strengthen our persuasive writing? Start a new board. So asking friends, teachers, or friends, teachers, or people that you trust. So ask them for feedback, read your letter to them, and then you can then listen to their opinions, because they might catch something that you didn't when you read it to yourself. They might know something that you don't. So you never know who can teach you things that you didn't know. So it's always good to ask for help, but also it's good to be able to tell the difference between good advice and bad advice. That's another thing I will say. Constructive criticism is another good example. So that's what I was doing before when we were presenting our homework at the beginning of the lesson. I never once just said, oh, that was a bad idea, that was that was dumb or anything, because nothing anybody said was, truth be told. But every time I said something, every time I mentioned something that could be better, every time I mentioned something that could be better, I mentioned how to make it better. So it wasn't just saying that's bad, it was saying it could be better if you do it this way. So constructive criticism can be an important tool for making your persuasive writing better. So yes, we have two techniques to use, or two tips to use for getting feedback from other people. We can ask our teachers, our friends, or our family, and we can ask them for constructive criticism. Okay. And last but not least, Actually, no. We'll skip that one because that is just asking for, yeah, that one's just asking for personal experience about these things. So I'll leave that one up for a minute so you guys can take any notes that you need. Wow. Luna, the message, the letter that you just sent me is incredible. Well done. I'm going to read this out for everybody, but I'm probably going to butcher all the French parts of it. So, the letter that I got from Luna was, "Dear Mr. Michael, I love field trips that let me learn a lot. The thing is, I've asked all the classes. About 90% of them agree, yet field trips are underrated. We want more so today. I have an amazing idea to visit a special place. Musée National des Beaux-Arts du Québec is an amazing place for art. Principal, the name speaks for itself. It is unlikely one would ever find random art in here. There are thousands of great works of art from various times. They will educate students about the history of Canada and the museum with a rich story. Do you like that vision of knowledgeable students? Well, now is the right time to do it. We might even win more contests. Yours sincerely, Luna Black." So that was a terrific letter sent in by Luna. And wow, we have covered a lot of material tonight. So it was just the name of the museum that was written in French pretty much, but I know I said that horribly. I'll admit I said that terribly. Now, at what point did I go on mute? Did everybody hear me reading out that letter? Some are saying yes, some are saying no. So I am going to copy that. I'm going to send that letter to everybody. So this was a fantastic letter. Now, we have covered a lot of stuff tonight. So I'm going to get the word out for everybody that your homework is to rewatch the replay of this live stream to catch up on any information that you need to go over. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Just use it to go over any information you need to go over again. And I want you to edit and revise your letter. And we're going to go over a whole bunch of them next week. We'll do a third part to this workshop where we just go over the finalized letters. So that's your homework. Edit and revise, perfect your letters, and we'll talk about them next week. Thank you all so much. In what channel? Good. Thank you for that question. So if you get in contact with Miss Duc, she live streams these workshops to her YouTube channel. It's all kept private, so nobody can watch it unless they contact her for the link. So get in contact with Miss Duc. She'll give you the link for this workshop. Rewatch the parts you need to, edit and revise your letter, and we'll go over them next week. Guys, you've done fantastic tonight. Thank you for letting me talk your ears off, and good job on some hard work tonight. I look forward to reading some of your letters next week. Good night, everybody. I'll let you get to sleep now.
Good night.